Hi everybody, Dan Illman here, taking a look at the Stronach 5 for Friday, October the 12th. It's a really tough sequence. I'll give you some horses to consider and maybe my A's and B's and C's from a ticket maker's standpoint. Let's begin with race number 7. This race is at Gulfstream Park West. It is a $20,000 maiden claimer going 7.5 furlongs on the turf, 2 turns at Gulfstream Park West. The horses I want to use as A's are the number 3 Secret of Life, who returns on very short notice for Marcus Vitale. He's wheeling back on 9 days rest, dropping from a 35,000 maiden claimer in for a 20. And while I thought he had a pretty good trip last time out, saving ground most of the way before angling out in the stretch, I also thought he was chasing a pretty fast pace for that class level. He should work out a decent trip behind the speeds in here. He's 7-2 on the morning line for Rajiv Mirage. Good inside post position. Secret of Life would be one of my A's. I would also use 2 other A's, however. The number 10 Velt has run twice on dirt for trainer Antonio Sano, and now he's getting a chance to stretch out with the addition of blinkers. I would expect him to show a lot of speed, and he has turf in his pedigree, her pedigree. She is by First Samurai out of a half-sister to Lee. And while Lee is best known for winning the Grade 1 Don handicap, he was a good turf horse before he found himself routing on the dirt. I think Velt is going to improve with the surface switch, improve with the stretch out and distance, and I think that she is going to be forwardly placed going into the first turn. I'm really not a fan of many of these horses that have run on turf, and I want a stranger. For me, it was either going to be one of the 2 Sano horses, Velt or Kind-Hearted Coda. Kind-Hearted Coda, though, is a first-time starter, and looking at Formulator, Sano is 0 for his last 33 with only 1 in the money with debuting horses in maiden claimers. So for that reason, I'll go with Velt, the experienced contender, stretching out off 2 sprints. My third A is the number 11, Box of Gold. And while I'm upset that this horse was listed as a vet scratch on September the 7th and has not raced since August the 2nd, I like what she did in her career debut for trainer Ralph Nix in that race. She was 3-4 wide most of the way, outpaced a little bit on the turn, and then punched on home in that 5 furlong race in between horses. The runner-up has since come back to win 2 races in a row, one on the turf with a 56 buyer, one on the dirt with a 61 buyer. I think she can be forwardly placed, fresh, stretching out in distance, and I wouldn't have any problem if the 10 and the 11 are in command of this turning into the stretch. My C from a ticket maker standpoint would be the number 12, Mesa Madera. This is not a good post position. This filly does not handle dirt. She's tried it twice. She has not run well on it at all. Her turf race 2 starts back at this level was better. She passed a few tired horses to finish 3rd. She is far from a star for trainer Chuck Simon, but if this pace does get hot early, I think Mesa Madera with the surface switch will come running late. So to recap in leg A of the Stronach 5, my A horses from a ticket maker standpoint are 3, 10, and 11. My C is 12. We'll move on to Santa Anita's race number 3. We'll go down the hill at 6.5 furlongs. This is a $50,000 maiden claiming event, and I'm going to go against the morning line favorite, the number 9 Kapal. He's already had 8 tries to win. He's had chances where he's had the lead in the stretch, and he just doesn't seem to finish off his races. I think there are better options elsewhere, and there are 3 horses that I would use in equal weight as A's. The number 1 is Data Central, and I like cutbacks going down the hill at 6.5 furlongs. This horse has competed in 3 route races leading up to this event, and last time out against better maiden claimers, 65,000 sellers, he was up on a very fast pace throughout before packing it in. The 4th place horse of that race came right back to earn a 77 buyer speed figure. I like Data Central cutting back in distance. He has run well going down the hill in the past, and I'm hoping he can work out a decent trip from the inside post. The number 4 Seahawk Wave, a $63,000 yearling purchase, that's a lot for a son of 6'13", was dismissed at 62-1 for his career debut at Del Mar, and I thought he ran really well in that 5 furlong race. He was 4 wide entering the turn, 3 wide on the turn, and he finished with a little bit of interest to earn a solid 75 buyer speed figure for trainer Mark Glatt. He drops out of the maiden special weight in for 50. He looks like a good-bodied sort that's going to handle the additional distance. The number 6 is Bahamian. A lot of changes here for this Simon Callahan trainee. Blinkers off, listed as a first-time gelding, in for a $50,000 tag. They once thought a lot of Bahamian. They ran him in the Champagne and the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and are now trying to find himself as a turf sprinter. I think he has enough speed to be be forwardly placed in this race, and I think he should be in with a good chance turning into the stretch. So I'm kind of against the number 9 Kapal in here. I want to use the 1, the 4, and the 6 as A's, and I also want to keep in mind that the 11 Henry County is on the also eligible list. If he happens to draw into this race, I would want to use him as well for Richard Mandela and Joe Talamo. He's Talamo's first call in this race, and he would be dropping from a maiden special in for a 50. But pre-scratches, 1, 4, and 6 for me in the second leg of the Stronach 5. The third leg, we return to Gulfstream Park West. It's a $30,000 beaten claimer going a mile on the turf, and it's a very, very tough race. The number 4 is very interesting to me. That's Congruity, coming down from New York for trainer Danny Gargan. As a matter of fact, I want to use both of Gargan's New York Invaders, but let's start with Congruity, a gate-to-wire winner 2 starts back at Belmont. And last time out at Saratoga, Jose Lezcano tried to get this horse to relax, and that's not his deal. He got rank, he got upset as the favorite, he chased a very fast pace, and he paid the price. And the winner of that race, Year of the Kitten, is a nice horse who came back to run second with a 77 buyer in a $40,000 race. I think Congruity and a very aggressive rider in C.C. Lopez can get to the lead in this race, and I think he can pull off a gate-to-wire gambit. But I wouldn't single him because I don't completely trust him. The 9 Victor Lounge, the other Gargan horse, needed 10 tries to break his maiden, and he did it on yielding ground last time out, but it was the best I ever saw him. He got a great ride by Lezcano in that race. He broke well, he rated off the pace to sit in behind the leaders, but he finished it off to win by 6 with a 79 buyer speed figure. If Congruity falters, Victor Lounge shouldn't be too far behind. I would use him as an A as well. The 6 Without Remorse is the kind of horse that I might want to use as a B. I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to use him as an A or a B. He's 1 for 15 right now. Maybe he was compromised by a lack of pace last time out. When they tried to sprint away from him turning into the stretch, he kind of got out-sprinted before finishing evenly. He is making his 3rd start of the form cycle. I think this is a comfortable class level for Without Remorse, but he does seem to find ways to lose. 6 times 3rd from 15 lifetime starts. Maybe I'll use him as a B along with the 3, the Great Scatsby. Now, the Great Scatsby sold for $500,000 as a 2-year-old in training. He won his maiden for Chad Brown, and then he was gone from the Brown barn. He returned for David Fox. He didn't do any running at all, but he was in way too tough. The winner of that race came back to win with an 88. The runner-up came back to win with an 88. The 3rd place horse came back to earn an 83. Those 3 horses would have won this race very easily. The Great Scatsby, maybe he can't run anymore, but this is the cheapest horses that he has faced in a while, and he is 6-1 on the morning line. For me, I'm going to go 4, 9 as A's, 3, 6 as B's. Race number 9 is the 4th leg of the Stronach 5, and it's a 6-furlong maiden special weight at Laurel, and I'm really not a fan of the morning line favorite, the number 5 Super Escape. Sure, she has a great pedigree. She's by Medaglia d'Oro out of a dam that won the Grade 1 Oakleaf as a 2-year-old filly, but I just don't want to play first-time starters at short prices when I think there are alternatives, horses with experience that have run well. The 9 Nightlife showed improved speed in her 2nd lifetime start for trainer Edward Coletti, and she faced a horse that came back to run 2nd at Keeneland with a 65 buyer speed figure and a non-winners of 2 life. Nightlife draws an outside post here and may not be hounded on the lead as she was last time out. She might be fast enough to make the lead, but if someone else wants it, I think she'll be comfortable sitting just off the pace. She's a horse I would want to lean on, and the 8 China Cat ships down from New York for trainer Jeremiah Engelhardt. While she didn't do much running at Saratoga in her debut, that was a day where you wanted to be on the inside, and China Cat broke from post 9 in a 9-horse field and was wide all the way around the track. I think you can give her a pass for that race, and she can certainly improve shipping down to Laurel. The 8 and the 9, I prefer the 9 slightly in the 4th leg of the Stronach 5. We complete the sequence with a maiden special weight at Santa Anita, carded as race number 4 at 6 furlongs on the dirt. And again, I'm going to be against one of the favorites in here. Yes, the number 9 Amuse can win. She ran really well in her turf debut, but she's going to be going from turf to dirt, moving back from a mile and a 16th to 6 furlongs, and that's just a lot of question marks at a short price when I think there are some viable alternatives, including the number 3, Give Her to Loot for Bob Baffert. This horse was in his debut race on September the 1st, where I thought speed was very good at Del Mar that day, and I realized that pace was very hot. You could argue that the 1 Tivet ran arguably the best race, but Give Her to Loot got a real experience boost in there. She broke down towards the inside. She got dirt kicked in her face. I thought she finished well in between horses, and I just think she's going to benefit from that run, and she'll sit a good trip in here if Tivit and Creative Contessa, the horses that dueled in that September the 1st start, hook up one more time. I can see Drayden Van Dyke sitting third with Give Her to Loot and attacking on the turn. I want to use her, and I'm not sure how I want to use the 6 Dancing Bell, but I want to use her somewhere, perhaps defensively. I realize she hasn't run in almost 8 months, but they thought a lot of this filly. They ran her in the Sorrento last year, a graded stakes race, and she finished second. They ran her in the Del Mar Debutante and the Chandelier, 2 Grade 1 races, and she finished 4th. And she hasn't sprinted in a while, and I think that's what she wants to do. The layoff is concerning, but if you really don't love the horses coming out of that September the 1st race, if you don't love Amuse with the surface switch, maybe Dancing Bell off the layoff for Keith DeZormo, a guy who does well off layoffs. Maybe that's the fresh face in this spot. So I'm against Amuse, and I'll go with the 3 Give Her to Loot and the 6 Dancing Bell in the final leg of the Stronach 5. As always, a tough sequence. Best of luck.